Yeah, this is not a talk I want to give. I have never, ever lost so much sleep. Have like tried to. I mean, yeah, this is a horrible experience for me right now. It's like the last time, and this all started um, at SkyDogCon, the first talk. It's like when he asked me to give a talk 2 years ago. I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna do a video thing. And the talk that I was doing that year didn't really lend itself to try to do it through video. So I was like, well, I'm gonna give a one-off talk for him. It's like, make it special and talk about, no, it's like, hold on. Okay, so, and I was like, I said, what I talk about? What was going on right then? And there's a lot of people talking about mental health issues and going through depression. And coincidentally enough, it's like, a couple months before I tried to commit suicide. So I was like, hey, that might be a good topic to discuss about. And so I did. And you think it's like, well, that was well received. It's like it was mostly. I still have people mocking me every once in a while for that talk. It's like, and it was a talk on trying to help people talk and discuss about mental health. So now I'm doing this was like, Lord knows what they're going to say about this one. I decided I was actually a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm going to be at SkyDogCon. I was like, well, let me check my schedule. I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to be at SkyDog. I can make SkyDogCon this year too. So I booked my flights and I tweeted it out. I was like, hey, I'm at SkyDogCon. Now I just need a ticket. It's like, because I didn't have a SkyDog ticket. Someone did DM me. It's like, which was nice of them. And they said, hey, we can get you a ticket to SkyDog. We'd like to keynote. And the way my brain works, it's like I do patterns. It's like very OCD, so I do patterns. So it's like, well, I don't want to do my talk that I've been doing all year where I go and show you how to break into a bank locally or something like that. It's like, well, the last one I did was about, something that was meant something for the community. So I'll do that. And it was going to be about our discourse in this community. We have a problem where we are always talking about no one's patching, executives aren't listening, another company got breached, and dogpiling on the latest, victim. And I'm like, we have a problem with communication in this community. It's like, what are we gonna do about it? And I had a whole talk about that. And it's like, and I'm still gonna do most of that. But then something else happened. It's like, I was talking to someone, and I wasn't able to go to this one conference I wanted to go to, and she approached me. It's like she was like, "I'm very uncomfortable at this conference. It's like I'm by myself. No one knows who I am. It's like guys are like, getting like in packs almost and coming up to females, myself included, and trying to like muscle in and talk. And it's like I'm very uncomfortable with this and." I just don't like this situation. And I feel uncomfortable even going to my hotel room. It's like by myself. I spent the first 2 minutes of that conversation while this person is talking to me and sharing a troubling experience that they're having. I spent the first 2 minutes going, how is she wrong? She's got to be wrong at this. She's made a mistake. This conference is amazing. I've been to all these conferences. I've always been to this conference. It's an amazing time. There's so many friends. There's so many people there. She's wrong about this. She's got to be wrong. She's doing something wrong. That's what I did for 2 minutes until I realized what I was doing. And I stopped myself and said, Jayson, this is the problem. This is something that needs to be discussed. And I am not a social justice warrior. I'm not white knighting anybody. I'm not sea lining whatever, gaslight, whatever freaking buzzwords you want to use to discount what I'm saying, F you, okay? It's like I have walked through the streets of Cairo. It's like it had people look at me and point at me. 2 guys were up on the overpass, and they just pointed straight at me, looked at me, and then they disappeared in the crowd, and I freaking hauled because I didn't belong. I was of a different skin color. I waited for over 30 minutes. It's like in Beijing for a taxi driver, and finally I just gave up because no one wanted to pick me up. because I was white. I don't have the right to talk about racism, I don't think, because that was tourist racism. That was something that I had to experience, but then I got to come back to my country and stuff, where it was more acceptable. So I don't feel like I have the right to do that. And I really feel that I don't have the right to speak for females and what they've gone through. Because it's not just tourism for me, though, at the same time. I was sexually assaulted a lot when I was a younger child. It's like 16 years old, I was repeatedly raped because I needed a place to stay, and that was what the trade was. And that's when you learn something important about sexuality and power. There's a difference. It's the power of being able to hold it over you, that's required of you, that you're less than human, that you're a thing that can be used at any time when it's convenient for that person. It's like, I literally, right after that, and I jokingly tell people, it's like, and this is one of the funniest things, I usually joke about it, when I tell people, it's like, yeah, I'm not doing bad for a high school dropout who used to live behind a dumpster. The only reason why I lived behind a dumpster was because I left that environment and thought that's all I was good for. It's like, that's why I stayed there, because that's where I belonged. That's what she took. Any kind of self-worth I had was over. It's like, I was useless, except for when I was helping someone else, feel better. It's like, and when I was around 20s, in my early 20s, I started feeling better. I started being able to, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. So I'm no longer in that environment. I don't feel that way anymore. Most women don't get that self-ease. They don't get to recapture that and start feeling better about it. One of the worst moments of my life was at Black Hat. I was at a Rapid 7 party, and it's like, and I saw some friends, and one of the ladies that was there, it's like I was coming up to see her. It's like I thought she saw me at the corner of her eyes, and so I went and hugged. So I gave her a hug. I'm a hugger, and I hugged her. And she whipped around, and the look on her face, it broke my heart. The fear, no matter what she's experienced, and I don't know what it was, but I took her back there. I took her for that moment. She was back there, and it was because of me. I still haven't I've apologized to her for it when it first happened. I still feel bad about it because I did that. And that was one time, and that's something that happened to her with a friend. She still feels that. She still goes to conferences and feels that. And we don't want to talk about things like that. We want to figure out why people are worrying about a COC. We're worried about why women feel afraid to be alone at a conference. Because we don't understand that. That's not ours. That's like our figuring out why they're wrong. And she talked to me about this stuff and what she experienced. And some of the other, you get to the point, it's like when you hear the discussions that are going on Facebook right now and going on Twitter because people are upset about how they feel safe. I was at KEYNOTE in Beijing with April. She gave me permission to say her name. It's like we were at this conference, and there was an after party there. And do you know what they did for the drinks? They put bottles of beer on the table, and every single one of those were open. She didn't have a problem drinking that beer at all. There was 20 to 30% women at that event, at that after party. No one felt afraid or concerned. That's what it should be like. No one had to be. How would that play at DEF CON, DerbyCon, SkyDogCon, name a con? That wouldn't happen. And that's a problem. It's like we are so easy to accuse and to blame, to deflect from what's really the problem and what's really going on. And that's a problem. We want to deflect on a side issue so it can justify how our stance is. And one of the other things that was, and I talked to some other people about this, and one of the other things one of my friends was like saying was, what happens when you, and because this is another thing that guys, we have to say, it's like, look, how am I supposed to flirt? It's like, I mean, can't just flirt with someone? I can't just, text someone, tell them I think they're nice, or I like the way they smile. It's like, I can't try to find a date. I do that at bars. Why can't I do that at a conference? One of the key things, and this was verified by a couple other friends that I talked to, it's like, do you realize that a female, it's like, or woman, or whatever designation you want to put on the opposite sex of mine, is they can't tell you no. They can't just say, oh, I'm not interested. Because what if you're going to hire them for a job one day? What if they have to work with you one day? They've got to be polite. They've got to defer when you tell them that they look pretty. They got to smile it off. When you catcall. Women have died telling people not to catcall them. That is a fact that they have to live with. I have never in my life had to worry about someone shooting me because they said they liked the way I smiled or the way I walked, and I told them to go get a life. That has never entered my mind. And so you don't think that's an issue, but it enters her mind all the time. She has to be polite and deflect and deal with it. Why are they the only ones dealing with it? Because it's not affecting us? Why are people in the corporations and companies, why are they the only ones dealing with it if it doesn't affect us? Trying to bring it back to a little bit about security before I freak out again. So that's the issue. And this is sort of segues into, because that's a controversial issue. Really? Talking about how women feel is a controversial issue that'll get me totally trolled on Twitter and Facebook. I stand by everything I say, but I'm still worried about the comments section. I'm still worried about how people are going to approach me because of that. What I'm going to be called now. And it's still 10,000 times less than what they have to deal with every conference they want to go to. And we wonder why there's not enough women going to conferences, why we can't get enough women in InfoSec or technology. These are problems. And these are not problems that I'm having. And that's why I feel like I shouldn't be talking about them. It's like, but it needs to be said. It's like another person that I talked to, and she gave me permission to talk about it. It's how do we respond when the situation actually happens? Georgia was almost raped at a conference. She went up there with the speaker. They're having a good old time. It's like talking and stuff. He wanted to go places that she didn't want to go. So he literally started forcing himself on her. She had to bite him. She had to hit him upside the head with a coffee cup to get him off her. He stole her shoe, passport, and some of her other belongings and took them to his room. There is no he said, she said stuff. They found the stuff in his room. How did our community treat her after that situation? She went in a self-destructive spiral down fast. Everybody remembers that, and that was the justification. Oh, she was drunk somewhere at this conference. She was self-medicating. But no, that's the excuse. There's justification. She didn't handle it right. We don't have to really worry about that issue. We don't really have to address the problem. That was a close one. That's the way we handle situations here. That's how we worry about victim blaming a corporation because they didn't patch properly for WannaCry. But we still try to brush this stuff under the rug. Like we don't have a problem. It's like, and we don't have the problem like we're saying, oh, well, we're not like the Hollywood industry. So Why does that matter? This is our community. Is that supposed to be better than that? And so we get to the point where we only have two choices. We can keep going like we're doing, creating memes, creating deflection, creating a reason why that other person is wrong, or we can take a step back and accept the fact that that person has an experience that we're never going to understand. And that doesn't make it wrong. That doesn't devalue it. That doesn't make it less than ours. Why should it? I am never, ever going to feel that way. I have been at gunpoint. I've been shot at. I've been hit by cars. But I am not worried about getting raped at a conference because someone roofied my drink. I don't have to make sure someone goes to the bathroom with me because of what might happen when I go down the hallway. That's not something I'm ever going to experience. That doesn't make it right to brush off. When are we going to start addressing these issues instead of deflecting on it? And that does segue into the other problem, COCs. That's another topic no one wants to discuss directly. Does SkyDogCon have a COC? Yes, they do. Is it written on their website? No. But SkyDog starts this con and he tells you what's expected of you. Some people are saying, well, we don't need COCs. Hack 5 has gone on, on the ledge and they said, hey, we're going to need a COC if we're going to sponsor you. And oh my God, the blowback that they've gotten. For what? Because you're having a statement on your website to tell people, not guys, not girls, people, to act like halfway decent human beings to each other. And that's controversial. That's something that we have to worry about. That's something I'm fucking offended about because I have a COC. I'm now trying to dictate how you're supposed to act. It's basically saying be human to each other. And the fact that it has to be written on a website should shame everyone in this community. It's not something we should be controversial about, not something that we should be deflecting about or making memes or insulting other people about. That's the issue. It's not the COC. It's not the response. It's the fact that it's needed is what should be discussed. But that's looking at us. That's, self-introspection. No one wants to do that. Trust me, me least of all. But it's needed. And it has to be done. People talk about this community, and it's like, and you know where we started? You know how amazing this industry is? We didn't come in like accountants. We didn't come in like dentists. It's like, or doctors or lawyers. We came in basically like freaking welders. It's like an artist. It's like in creators. We grew into it. We started on BBSs. BBS, and yes, I'm very old. It's like, get over it. It's like, we started on BBSs. And you know what was beautiful about that? I didn't know if you were a girl. Didn't know if you were black. Didn't know if you were Muslim. Didn't know if you're next door or half a country away on another side of the planet. Didn't matter. What did you know? What could you teach me? What can I teach you? Period. That's what you were then. You were the sum of your knowledge, nothing else. And that's where we evolved from. That's where we evolved from. But then social media happened. And that's when the de-evolution started. And that's something we got to realize. because now I've got Twitter and Facebook. Now I know you're a girl. Now I know you're black. Now I know you're Muslim. Now I know you're from India or Iran or Russia or Belgium or Paraguay. Now I know these things. And that colors my interaction. That changes my perception of you, not what you can teach me and what I can teach you. And that's what we're dictating it on. And once again, that is wrong. And we treat each other on Twitter and Facebook like we treated each other on IRC. It was fun on IRC to make fun of people, slap people with large trouts, okay? That was fun and that was okay, because that other person on the other side was only giving out that information that you saw. You realize it's changed now. That person on the other side of the keyboard is actually giving out more of themselves through their Facebook post, through their Twitter post. They're actually sharing their life with you. They're trying to show and share their experiences with you. They consider themselves more human and more of a connection with the people they communicate with. But we still treat them like they're anonymous usernames on IRC. So when you attack them, it hurts more. It means more, cuts more. I woke up one day, last couple of weeks, and I wake up cranky, by the way. It's like I'm not always this adorable. It's like before I've had some Diet Pepsi, trust me, it's like I get, and if you look at all my timeline stuff, you know, it's like it's hard to tell when I actually sleep and not, or waking up, because it's all times during the day and night. My tweets can be sometimes biting a little bit more in the when I'm waking up when I've not had enough Diet Pepsi. I found a tweet from someone, and it pissed me off. They tweeted at me. I'm not going to describe it. I'm not even going to say what it was because I don't want to identify the person. But I clapped back. I was like, no, mother, this is this. And I felt good. Because I was like, because I don't usually hit back. See, that's one of the key things about me. I don't like hitting back. My childhood could be better described as all the violations of the Geneva Convention, okay? It was a horrible hellscape of a childhood. And it was sort of beneficial to me in the long run because I was really so destroyed that instead of becoming a psychopath, which is what I should have been and in jail by now, is that I hate and abhor trying to hurt or affect. I would rather someone punch me or do something to me than me to actually physically harm someone else. It's so yucky for me to do physical violence. It's like I've literally let people punch me and get away with it just because I did not want to destroy them, which I'm not, you know, a little wallflower. It's like I can do damage. It's like, but I'd rather take the damage than deliver it. But this time I was like, no, I'm not going to just be the punching bag usually that I am. I clapped back. I was like, oh, I showed them. A day later, I got a contact form from my website. It was the person who sent the tweet at me and that I responded to. They apologized. They were sorry, genuinely sorry that I was upset about it and what they said. They were in a dark place at that moment. They were just diagnosed with cancer. They were in a dark place and they were lashing out because they didn't know how to handle a situation. You do not know what that other person is going through at any time. We do not know everybody else's struggles. But we don't really care. We don't really factor that in because, you know, then we may not be as right or superior or, you know, holier than thou. How did I feel after that? My biting, witty comment wasn't so good anymore. And I'm like, and I'm fully honest. One of the other comments I had was like, crap, the one person I go after is going to have cancer. That shows me. It's like, it's like, I can't talk about cancer because I've had cancer. So it's like, it's totally cool. It's like, I got the card and everything was punched. It's awesome. But we don't know what the other people are struggling. We don't know what people are having, but we don't think about that. We need to start discussions. We need to start discussing issues that are uncomfortable. You want to discuss why there's a COC? Fine. Discuss why women can't go to the bathroom by themselves. Discuss why women can't have open drinks. Discuss that too. If you want to have discussions, you have discussions about why one person is feeling less worth because they don't belong or they feel like they don't belong, and why we allow that. Those are the things that we need to discuss. It's like there is issues in this community that we need to address. And at the same time, there's things that are amazing about this community. Because like I said, we started different than a lot of other industries, and we're still growing. We're not even close to maturity. God, look at me. We're not even close to maturity in this industry. I mean, the fact that I look like this and I have a job, it's like should shock and amaze everyone, including myself, continuously every day. Okay? We're blessed with that. We're blessed with being able to do that. It's like, or for the atheists in the room, that we're very lucky. It's like, it's like, so that's the way it works. It's like we need to understand that because we have a network. You know what I did before? Because I knew I was going to give this talk, and I did not, literally, there are no notes. I made sure that I'd lost sleep with how I was going to say this and what was going to happen. And it's like, I've literally, this has been the worst experience of my life in a while. It's like not the worst experience, trust me, I've got a whole list. But this has been a really horrible thing that I've been trying to deal with. And one of the things that I did just to reassure myself was I searched Twitter for dentist. I went and watched dentist tweet. Let that sink in for a second. There's dentists tweeting on Twitter? Yes. You would not believe some of the subgenres that are tweeting. Trust me, I'm not even going to go there. It's like, it's really disturbing. But it's like, but there is a whole subset of people in their own little echo chamber, in their own little community of dentists. It is one of the most vapid, self-absorbed, commercialized social media platform I've ever seen. They talk about their specials. They talk about how life is wonderful, how their visiting hours are, what their newest equipment is. It's like what their newest thing is. Nothing about themselves. You learn zero. Well, except for this one guy who liked to take selfies in these different places, but he just looked way more creepy than anything else. He wasn't doing well. It's like, so I would not let that guy put his hands in my mouth. I'm just saying, okay? It's like, but that's what they considered Twitter. That's what they considered Twitter. That was social media. That has never been how we address Twitter. It's personal for us because we're communicating, we're reaching out for people that are weird like us, that are different like us. But they got to be different like us. And they got to be weird like us. Because if you're not, screw you. You got to be my kind of weird or my kind of different, or I don't really care about you. That's an issue we need to discuss. It's like we need to start having a lot more discussions and a lot less memes when it comes to these kind of problems. I don't know what else I'm going to talk about. It's like it's 30 minutes, it's supposed to be an hour, I don't care. It's like I'm not going to rant, I'm not going to ramble, I'm not going to keep repeating the same issue. But I will leave it with something else. A roach died. and over $3,000 of aid went to Puerto Rico. Dentists didn't do that. Okay? It's like we did. We have a heart and we have passion. We want to make the world better. It's how we are. And that's amazing. And that is awesome. I mean, some want to make the world just burn, but luckily that's a smaller category. The majority of us want to make things better. And that's wonderful. It's like, why don't we make ourselves better too? Why don't we see if there's someone around us that needs help feeling better? We can do it. It's like if we think about it. We need to start understanding that. There is so much passion in this industry. And that's one of the other problems, though. The passion. Because I'm passionately convinced you're wrong. And you're passionately convinced that I'm wrong. There's a whole lot of wrong, a whole lot of passion, not a lot of solutions. We have to learn how to step back and entertain the idea that someone may be wrong, and just possibly, I know it's very rare with me, it might be me. Not me personally, it could be you, but I'm just saying, it's like you gotta step back and think that. We gotta start understanding that just because we know that we're right doesn't mean that someone has a different perspective. I look at the ocean and it's deadly to me. It's like fish looks at the land, it's deadly to them. Both right, it's just a perspective. And what your experiences are and how you live your life. I'm not coming with solutions, people. Coming with discussions. And I'm not going to be able to solve anything, and this may not have solved anything, but if it sparked a discussion, if it starts making you think just another second about going up to that girl who's sitting down going like, hey, I know I'm the handsome one. I think she's waiting for me. If you just think about that for a second, it worked and it helped. It's like if you just start thinking maybe there's something besides your experience that could also be right. It helped. Guys aren't the villain in this thing. All my abusers and rapists were women. It's not all a guy's problem or guys feeling unsafe. It's humans feeling unsafe from other humans. And that's where we need to get to. We need to start breaking that down and understanding that's our problem. If a human in this industry feels unsafe going to the bathroom, going to the hotel, sitting in a freaking lobby, that's a problem for all of us, not just them. And if you don't think that's a problem, congratulations, you're part of the problem. That I stand by. So come at me, bro. It's like, I don't care about the trolls. I don't care about the hate. I literally the things that I was thinking about in this talk was like, how many people are going to hate me? How many people are going to dislike what I've said or get upset with what I said? I regret nothing. I meant every word that I said, and I'm probably the only thing I'm sorry about is I haven't said more eloquently. Because it needs to be said. And it needs to be said by females. It shouldn't be done by me just standing up here. They need to be comfortable enough where they can get up here and not feel the fear that I have. To not feel the hate or the loathing from people looking at them because they spoke up, because they wanted attention. Because they were just trying to start drama. Oh, because they didn't like this person. or any other reason we can deflect instead of listening to what they have to say. That's a problem that we need to address. So I'm not a spokesperson. Most of the words that I came out about the experiences came from a female. I'm parroting what they said. One day, they shouldn't even have to have this discussion at all either, because it shouldn't be happening. But until that day happens, the next step is them being able to come up and talk and us having to listen. Not me as men. It's like us as humans understanding that this is a problem. That's the other, one other thing I'm digressing to, but I don't care, is that's one of the things we do. It's like, we like to, guys, it's like me, and I'm not talking for guys. I can't, because I'm pretty sure that some of these guys are thinking, like, mother, you don't talk to me either. You're not talking for me. It's like, which is true. I'm talking about my experiences, what I've felt. It's like, but at this, and I'm speaking for me now too, is that we can't just try to find that excuse about why they're wrong, or try to understand that that's not my experience. And we need to listen and not judge on that and not feel persecuted. When someone came out, I mean, literally, it's like I've had someone talk to me about an issue and I was like, I don't do that. Do I do that? Are they like just trying to say that it's just guys doing that? Because not all guys. That doesn't sound bad, right? Not all guys. It doesn't matter. Because for someone, it was some guy. And that was enough. I don't go, not all women. It's like, I'm not directing anything at anyone in this room or who watches this. I'm calling out for this community to have discussions, to talk about the things that are uncomfortable. It's like, you thought, yeah, and I mean, up until now, you probably thought, man, I thought just, the quarter in budget and stuff, that we were gonna have to talk about trying to get a new firewall was just difficult to discuss, which is probably still a discussion you need to have with your executives. Trust me, that still needs to happen. But that's not the only thing. We have to discuss more. We have to start trying to make this place better. And it's great. I love this community and it's amazing. Doesn't mean it can't get better. It gets better when I stop seeing memes demonizing or belittling people because they have a different viewpoint. That's when it starts getting better. It's like when people feel comfortable being them without judgment or ridicule, I feel better. That'll be when we're getting better. So, not much more to say. Thankfully, I didn't cry as much as I thought I was going to, which is awesome. But just think about that when y'all leave tonight. Think of discussions. Think about where you're at and what you perceive to be problems and how you can have discussions with other people and how they're dealing with it. And when someone comes out to you and they feel that they can trust you enough to share with you something that's happened to them, maybe listen to it. And I mean listen to it. I didn't. I failed. It's like I spent the first 2 minutes not listening to what was going on, but trying to figure out a deflection or what was wrong. Listen to what they have to say and then ask them what they need, because that's what they need. And I said they. That goes for everyone. So, anybody want to have a discussion? Because we got plenty of effing time. And yes. Oh, hold on a second.
But my own voice. I hate my own voice. But I realized I had made a mistake in brushing that off. So because I looked at her Twitter account and I saw she blocked me, and I looked back at those tweets and I said, "Why did I say that? That was stupid of me." So I wrote her an email and I said, "That was fucking stupid of me." And she said, "Thank you for writing this email." And she unblocked me.
Well, and that's just communication. Just being able to say, I'm willing to open up this communication. I'm willing to admit wrong. It's like, that's an amazing thing. It's like, because there is like, it is very hard. Trust me, because someone that fails as much as I have, it's really hard to say, hey, I screwed up. It's like, I'm literally, and one of the things that also, just so you don't understand that it's like, I'm not no effing saint up here, okay? There is literally a person that I'm going to, at the next conference that I see her at, I'm going to apologize to her. Because I think it's like I was at this one conference, I was all handsy and like, playing around and stuff, and I look back now and I'm like, was she enjoying herself, having fun, or was she just trying to be polite, trying not to like, because, he's a speaker. It's like, I don't want to say, I feel bad about that. I think about that. I've made wrong. It's like, I've transgressed. I am not someone up here saying, hey, no splinter in my eye. It's like, it's like I've got plenty of rocks here because I'm perfect. It's like, I know that I've made mistakes. It's like, and that's where it starts. Just saying, hey, I may have made a mistake on this. So that's commendable. That's what we need to do.
It's better to admit you're wrong because it shows that you've grown as a person.
Yes. Any other? Okay. Someone else. Him and then you. Because right here, because he's walking over all right.
I just want to, hello. I want to touch on something you touched on, which is the idea that a lot of people take it personally when they feel like, well, I'm not like that, I don't do that, and that kind of stuff. And it's what I really want to say is that in many cases it's not actually you at all. It is what you represent. I'll give a brief example. Facebook, the joy that it is. I found an old friend. And I reached out to her. I'm like, hey, how you doing? I haven't spoken to you forever. And she said, please don't take this personally, but you were in a part of my life that I just really want to forget. And she's like, I love you. She's like, you were one of the best people in my life back then, but I just want to forget that part of my life. And so I had to basically take a step back and say, okay, I understand that it's not personal. This is not about me. This is that is a part of her life that she wants nothing to do with anymore. And so the big boy pants thing to do is to put on big boy pants and say, I wish you all the best, disconnect and let it get on. And that was hard, but because, there's a part of you that wants to go, hey, don't you remember? But yeah, you've just got to do the right thing.
Right. Yes.
Okay, I apologize if I'm stammering. I'm not a good public speaker person. Anyway, I understand that everything your entire talk was extremely difficult for you to give, and and it's a fact of life that we are going to have to do extremely difficult things, and all the issues that you've mentioned are it isn't exclusive to InfoSec. Things like harassment and bullying, it's involved in other communities too, and on television. Often I see like on TV that, oh, this person's just causing drama, or oh, this person's being political, we should ignore him, or oh, this guy's real popular, he shouldn't really have an opinion, he should be entertaining or whatnot. But the fact of the matter is, even if it's extremely difficult, even if it is uncomfortable, we do need to have these sorts of discussions, even if it does make us uneasy. It's something to be had. Otherwise, we'll simply be denying a problem, and that just exacerbates the problem, making it far worse. And I appreciate you for coming out and doing the difficult thing for all of us today.
Well, the key thing is you said about this is our community, because quite frankly, I don't care about anybody else's community. It's like when it comes to this, it's like I think it needs to be fixed. But I mean, I'm just being honest. It's like, it sounds like I'm an a-hole, and sometimes I am. It's like, doesn't make me less of an a-hole because I'm honest about it, but you know, it's just a catch-22 there. But still, I'm worried about our community and our industry because I can actually impact this community, hopefully. It's like mostly negative sometimes, but you know, sometimes positive, and that helps. It's like, so it's like, I want to be that impact on this community. It's like, other people in other communities need to address their issues. It's like, but it shouldn't be coming from outside. I mean, that's really why I'm uncomfortable about talking about some of these issues, because it's still coming from outside. It's like, it's still not the best solution, but it still needs to be said. Yes.
Yeah, kind of getting to what you said earlier about the maturity of the community, I would argue that this shows maturity in the community, the fact that someone can get up and have these discussions and not either be laughed at or booed off the stage or what have you. And doing things like this hopefully will encourage women who have been the victims of these things to come forward, because as you said, you know, as a guy, your words aren't going to carry as much weight as a woman to whom this has happened. So if this can encourage women to step forward and say, yeah, this happened to me, I was uncomfortable with it, what have you, then that moves us all forward, men and women.
I think that is a great statement, and probably one of the worst things anyone's ever said to me, accusing me of maturity. It's like, so I am going to try very hard not to hold that against you. It's like, thank you. All right. Break out a minion onesie here in a second. Is there any other, anybody want to comment, question?
Yeah, sexual assault is fucking sexual assault.
Yes.
Call it that.
Yes, 100%.
It is fucking sexual assault in the fucking story.
Yes.
And yes, it affects your community, but it affects women and men across the board.
100%.
Does it matter that you want to keep it in your community?
No, I don't want to keep, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean I want to keep it in my community. That was a mistake on my words. It's like, what I'm saying is, I can't speak to that community because no one knows who I am in that community. I think it needs to be discussed in every community.
Right, but being a voice and you have a platform, you can be bigger than just your community.
I would hope so. I think, to be honest, I hope so. I thought I mentioned that it was sexual assault. I talk about that. It's like I was sexually assaulted.
Discussion for sexual assault is over. It either happens or it doesn't. You either believe the person or you don't. You come with a fucking solution. You do not have a discussion about it. I don't need a discussion about how I was victimized or how you were victimized. That's not what needs to be brought up open.
But I think one of the problems is that I hardly have a solution for anything in my life. It's like I don't think I think at one point you're overestimating my sense of self-worth, okay? It's like, and what I think I can do here. It's like I've always known that I am a nothing, okay? That's how I was raised, and that's what I still believe no matter what act that I put on here, okay? I always know that I'm nothing. That's something that I live with and I don't try to bring out for anybody, okay? But that's how I feel. I don't think I'm ever going to be anything. I need other people to do stuff. And so that's why I always try to say, hey, this is a problem we need to do, because I'm never going to come with a solution that's going to work because I'm a failure. It's like, well, and I totally agree with that as well. But we need to discuss that. We need to bring it out in the open and say that we need to start believing people and listening to what they have to say. That was what I was saying as well. We need to start listening to when women come up or men come up and say they were sexually assaulted, saying that they were raped. We need to start listening to that. When they say that they feel uncomfortable, when they say that they feel like they feel unsafe about where they're at, before it gets to the point of sexual assault, we need to listen. It's like, I have a son and a daughter. And I'm so sick of guys going like, well, I have a daughter. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. I have a son, and my son knows that you treat people. There is no boys being boys. You treat people, everybody, with respect, and no fucking means no. He knows that. And that's one of the problems we have. But I'm not going to come with a solution. I'm going to solve for my son. I'm going to solve for my daughter. It's like, I don't have a solution to fix this except for saying, hey, look at it. This needs to be addressed. Correct. And most of these are. And most of these are. Most of these COCs aren't saying anything that's not really already out there. Being a decent human being is there. It's like, and I had a discussion with SkyDog, and we had a discussion and a disagreement on it. It's like of what the COCs were for and why they were needed, because some people were saying, you know, it's like, well, I don't need a COC. That's like putting it on, like saying that there's perpetrators. And I'm saying, well, do you also realize that sometimes a COC actually says, and this is my stance, that maybe it tells the person who is, you know, not very comfortable being in a situation that they can feel safer, that they have an approach, that they have a process to do something if they feel threatened. Maybe it's not about the perpetrators, but it's about the people who feel victimized. It's like, I understand that. It's like, and I understand this. So I'm not trying to like dance around anything. It's like, but I'm also trying to be honest with you where it's like, I honestly don't feel like I have a solution. It's like, we need to have discussions, and we need, because when we start discussing and when we are able to start getting together and approaching problems, this is the industry that fixes them. This is the industry. This is the community that gets things done when they want to. And I'm saying it's time to want to. So it's like, that's where I'm at.
Jayson, one thing that I'm going to step up, so, and this is not in the face or in the function of being part of the conference or anything else, but the reality is it's part of setting the example, and one of the things that I feel about this is that this is not just a female issue. If we make that about, that is the issue primarily in our community, but that we as individuals, we as a community have to step in and police each other to the point of helping those other, other people who we see in that situation, whether they, sometimes this could simply apply to over drinking or intoxication or anything else, making sure that they get home safe, making sure that they stay safe while they're here, and stepping in and being responsible to each other as individuals and as friends and as a community to taking care of each other. And sometimes it's kind of funny, somebody, stumbling around or whatever, but those types of things, I'm applying this to something that we've seen in more common scenarios that is a more generally applied, people scenario, but we need to extend that same type of courtesy to each other and care for each other in these situations when we see someone who may be uncomfortable and step in and ask and interject and intervene.
And that's one of the key things. Perception, just understanding and looking around and noticing when you're at the bar or the lounge and you see someone looking uncomfortable. It's like you see a person looking uncomfortable. Going up to them and admitting that vulnerability of having to go up to them, it's like, are you okay? Is everything cool? What's up? It's like, just trying to be there to be that extra person, that, backup that they have. It's like doing that is hard. That's very socially awkward. It's like, and I'm all about socially awkward. It's like, that's something that has to be done. And that's taking you out of your comfort zone. Doesn't make it less needed.
So what we're saying is we need to grow the passion into compassion.
Yes, we have a serious lack of empathy in this industry. A serious lack of empathy.
If we just develop that passion into compassion.
Yes. Anything else? Way less people walked out of this room than I thought was going to happen, so that's amazing. It's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm like, I'm done. We're good. So thank you guys.